Добро дошел!
It's crazy.
Shit, 100%. We want to go there.
Романтика.
Сейчас в Москве находится один очень интересный человек. Он родом из Германии, он также граундхоппер, и я не мог упустить шанс и не взять у него интервью. Единственное, вопросы я буду задавать на английском. Мой английский не очень хорош, поэтому если вам что-то непонятно, читайте перевод внизу, пустим отдельной строкой, либо субтитрами. Человека зовут Маркус. So, Marcus, tell me a little about yourself. Where do you come from?
I'm coming from East Germany. My region is called Saxonia. Our main cities are Dresden and Leipzig, which are well known beyond the borders. But I was born near to another city, Zwickau. Zwickau is famous for Robert Schumann, the classical composer, and the car factory Trabant. And Trabant once had a Zavodsky team, like a team of the workers. And this is my football team, where I started to get into all the football topic about, well, more than 20 years ago. Yeah, more than 20 years ago. I'm an old person.
We return for your favorite team some later.
Yes.
And now tell me please, how long have you been doing ground hopping?
Oh, it started, now we have 2019, so I'm doing this for 18 years now. I started when I was still a student at University of Applied Sciences. Some friend who is also fan of Zwickau introduced me in this idea. We did our first trip together at 2001, in the summer of 2001. Yeah.
At this time I learned in school and I never heard about this hobby. It's crazy. Hobby has vague rules. What rules do you follow?
When you start, you try to follow more precisely. Like you want to be there 90 minutes. And some people don't count games which are finishing 0-0. Today, I don't care much about this. If I'm going to lower league matches and there's nothing going on, they are really shit. Like the match that we are going to see later on, I predict it's going to be shit 100%. So actually, I am not forcing myself to be there 90 minutes. If I can, I try to. Give you an example. Yesterday, I went to Молодежная команда Dinamo против Spartak, and it was in Novogorsk. The stadium was nothing. The pitch was plastic. So why stay there for 90 minutes? We left after like 60 minutes. So you see, I am not that strict anymore. But of course, when it's big matches, it's kind of a must to stay there for all the match, and even better because you know it quite well, sometimes the atmosphere is better before the match when people are not focused on the match itself. So of course you stay there longer than 90 minutes. Other rules, wow. Everybody is basically doing his own rules. Of course you need a referee. It should be an official match. I don't like to see children's matches. It must be like first male command. Well, female football, I was watching female football in the past. Now I didn't do it for years. But of course, you can also watch female football. It's the same. For me, myself, when I do my selections, I prefer bigger matches. Because for me, when you do this for a long time, you need a reason to go. And a reason is always some match where you expect like action, maybe draka, or you see choreographies or some good chanting or whatever. So you must feel the desire inside of you. It's worth going there. So today I wouldn't do a lot of trips which are like maybe 7 matches on a weekend, but all of the matches are shit, like lower class. No, at least one match must be a good match. Only this shitty tours, you can only do them if you are in a good company, if you have good friends. They drink a beer, they talk shit all the time. This is okay. We did this many times when we go to Czech Republic. From my city to Czech Republic, it's about 1 hour. So you can see a lot of football for minimum money, and if you have the car full, it's the best thing that you can do for one day. But yeah, I am nowadays, I'm not like collecting that much anymore. When you start, when you are young, like you are believing in numbers. Like the more stadiums you have, the bigger the number gets, the more important you are, which is kind of bullshit. It's like you do it here. Behind the camera, we have good people. Some of them I met in Belgrade already. Like it's more about making friendships. Forget the numbers. Do less, but do good trips.
Романтика.
Your favorite team is Partizan, yes?
Yes.
Yes. And how many games were on tour?
With Partizan,
yes.
Like in total, I saw about 40 derbies at home and in Zvezda. I go to big European matches with Partizan, biggest relative, because, for example, this season we got kicked out before the group stage, but I try to see new places with Partizan. So in total, I guess maybe 80 matches with Partizan.
Романтика.
Do you have a list of stadiums where you are? Yes.
I do, and now I guess your next logical question is how many and all of this. I cannot tell you precisely. Like I started this list sometime around 2002. I have about 1,600 or something like this, which is not that many. I mean, here in Russia it seems a lot because the distances. If you want to make a good stadium and you have to go to Vladivostok, that takes a lot of money, and it's not about the money, it's more about the time. You need time to go there. So distances here in Russia is the big topic. When you live in Western Europe, you have grounds everywhere. Like when you are not so selective, you go to the next village and you see some match. Like you can easily make that number bigger. But for me, it doesn't make sense. You can go to McDonald's every day, but it doesn't satisfy. Maybe you go to a good restaurant once, you will remember this visit much longer than any of your McDonald's, Burger King, and other bullshit visits. Like, yeah. Do more quality. Don't look at the numbers. Yeah, I have that list to get back to your question. I said 1,600 is the stadium list, but for me, myself, more important is to write down the matches that I saw. For example, now I go many times to Serbia or to bivši Yugoslavia, and there I have been at these stadiums many times, but for me it is more important to follow the developments there. So it's not about counting, have I been to that place, but to see what happened the last half year, how do people change. You know, the fan life is very complex there. You have like kind of people who do coalition with some others, then they split up. And this for me currently is more interesting than just like counting and raising that number. Yeah, like on that list of games, I think that started also in 2002. It's about 2,500 matches right now. And I think I did not forget so much. Maybe some, because you are never 100%, which is not easy to accept for me because I like to be precise and write down everything. But sometimes you just forget it, and when you, okay, now I have time, now I'm gonna write it down, maybe you forget something.
How many Russian stadiums are on that list?
This question was asked to me in the airplane 2 days ago, and I think I answered it. There are around 100 games in Russia and approximately 80 stadiums in Russia. Russia, since about 11 years, is something that I really enjoy, coming back. Currently, I'm having a visa which allows me to come in многократная. I can come in as much as I want, but this visa expires. But I have good friends in Belgrade, Pozdrav Mladen, and I hope he will help me again getting this multi-entry visa, because it's much more convenient. You don't have to go to the embassy all the time and get a new visa. You just go to the airport, get in the plane, and here I am again. So yeah, I like Russia a lot. That's why I come so often. I'm just not so used to drink too much. So before this interview started, I already said I'm a little bit tipsy, but it's still okay.
Романтика.
What do you think about fans in Russia? Describe them in 3 words, please.
Oh, 3 words.
Yeah.
very determined, meaning they go a long ways with their teams, which is a necessity here. They are crazy because they undress when it's -20. They still show their naked breasts and whatever. And very passionate, of course. Passionate because even when teams are not doing so well, I mean, even at this small match, we have some guys supporting this small team from Chertanovo district. I mean, probably they have many other choices. They could go to Spartak, CSKA and many other bigger teams, but they have chosen Chertanovo, which again makes them a little bit crazy, but I have full respect for those guys because it's much harder to do something in the small clubs, I think, yeah.
Романтика.
Which stadiums do you remember most in Russia and why?
Of course, one stadium will always remain kind of special because it's the most far away, also from Moscow. I was in Vladivostok some 5 years ago, but I didn't do like the trip from here to there. I came from the other side. I was on a longer travel, so I arrived to Vladivostok coming from South Korea, where I also saw some matches. I don't like to use the word proud, but which is, I think, a nice thing that I will remember back, or when I'm looking back, some days later, some years later. 2 years ago, Khabarovsk played in First Division. And I decided, because I'm Grobar, Partizan, and Partizan, they have a brotherhood, Bratstva, it's CSKA. And the CSKA was playing in Khabarovsk. And I was thinking, well, I was traveling with trains so many times in Russia. And I did a lot of these shorter parts of the Trans-Siberian Trek already. But maybe now this is a good time to go from Moscow to Khabarovsk one way, 6.5 days. I did it, and lucky me. It was very cold. The match was in November, mid of November, and they didn't cancel the match. It was about -20, but they still played, and that was great. Last year I was in Orenburg. It was not so cold, but they canceled the match. That is something that people don't like, yeah?
yeah, it's true. I have a friend from Italy. This man very like Russian history. This man was on train in Moscow, goes to Irkutsk, 3 days and half. He was shocked, but enjoy it's Russian mentality.
Samoplatskart.
Yes.
Only real way to do this is platskart, because you will get in touch with people. First they will approach you, they will realize you are not a Russian. You look like some guy from Eagle, but okay, Barada, eta moda, okay, it's accepted now. But then you start to talk. And when I went to this Khabarovsk, for example, I get in touch with young soldiers, younger than you, like people around 20, and they are from Solehard. They were Nance people, and it was very interesting. You have nothing to do in the train anyway. I read some Dostoevsky book. For 7 days it was okay, but still I had some time to talk with these youngsters, and they spoke some English. I spoke my really shitty Russian version, and we had a good time. And it's the best to travel and to make new connections, like we do now. Like, we are smiling at each other, we are not aggressive or anything, we are just enjoying joint time. Is the best. All of that football, like, you have chosen the topic of football. Me, I have chosen the topic of football, but in the end this is just the carrier. We get to know each other, and this is the good thing about this. Football can be, it can like separate people, but it can also connect people, and I like this a lot.
Романтика.
Who are my favorites in Russia?
In Russia, yes.
In Russia, of course, it's CSKA, because Partizan, which is my club, and CSKA, they have friendships. So I know not so many, but I know some people from CSKA who go to the fan tribunes. And just last night we had a great party with some older generation guys. I was invited. They didn't know me before, but they invited me home, and there was food, There was some drinks, some other which I will not talk about. It was really funny night. But I think your question is more about the things, the visual things or something. I must also say, like, Zenit is very good in this optical category as well. Okay, Miaso as well. Let's be fair, they are also very good, but I don't want to give them too much props because I am with Jessica.
Романтика.
Do you know someone groundhoppers in the post-Soviet territory?
Yes, probably. I'm not 100% sure, but I predict. I know like one of the oldest ones, not by age, but who is doing that for some years and who was promoting this kind of hobby when the internet became more popular, and he had the chance to spread it worldwide and in Russian-speaking sphere. Yuri Paretsky. When I first came to Russia 11 years ago, not so far from here in Komsomolskaya Stanice, I get up, I get to Leningradsky Vokzal, and there this typical Russian Medved style guy came, and we met for the first time, and we are friends to this day. We meet about minimum once in a year. Now mostly in Ukraine, because now he's living in Ukraine, but he has hosted me a couple of times in Zelenograd and also on this trip. He usually contact me on the internet, and he called me director because he thinks that I can organize things, German style, being precise and all of this. He's right, I can. And he ordered some fanzines and stuff from Serbia. And because I was in Serbia last week, I buy this stuff for him. I bring it to Moscow now, and we transferred it to Gennady, also one of your friends. When I say this name, I always have to smile because he's such a good man, and he helped me in very bad times. He wrote me postcards and in very bad times, and I'm really grateful that I know Yuri. He's a very important person for me.
I'm very sadly, but at this moment I know Yuri only for internet.
Yeah.
But I would like to meet with him at the really time.
He is not coming so often to Russia because he's married to Ukrainian beautiful wife, and you know politics can fuck up situations. But like everything, also this will pass. It will be better. And he's a great guy. You will meet him when you continue that hobby. You will see him somewhere. But he goes to the lower leagues. He prefers the lower league stuff. He don't like the big football, the modern stadiums. He's not into this. I understand this.
In your opinion, how high is the level of groundhopping in the post-Soviet territory? How high level?
Now I see in recent years, also I see it mostly through the internet, because I'm here from time to time. I met some people, but my daily source of information is of course the internet. When I started to come here and saw Yuri, for me he was the first one who was interested in, like, what are you doing? Aha, you are traveling to teams that you don't really know. It's more about the stadium. He was interested. So it was from my point of view, on a small scale. And now in recent years, let's say the last 5 years, it's a lot more professionalism in it. You have these stickers, Ruski Groundhopping Komanda, and like
team,
Russian team, put them somewhere, and like also the internet thing, or like this interview. I don't know, when you are watching, there are 2 cameras here, and all the lighting and everything, it's done on a very high professional level. It's not amateurs working here, which is like, you really put energy in promoting this, which I really think is great. And yeah, there has been a lot of progress. And now also in Russia, I think what helps, you have airlines like Pobeda and stuff, who are Nizhne Cene. You can travel to different parts of Russia for small money, relatively small money. So that helps also. But like the only real way is, you told me before, you go by bus with your buddies. When you travel with the club, super. But when you travel alone by bus, I would prefer the train. Like, it's more convenient. And now I see an increasing number of people who are interested in following this lifestyle, and I also have some contacts on social networks, some Russians, and I see how precisely they Мой стадион 201 and stuff like this. They are now really in this counting, making the number bigger. I can fully understand, but I think Russians have more the kind of soul who also enjoy to be together. So I think the counting will not be so important in the future. It's more about building a network of good people who have the same hobbies. Yeah.
Thank you for good words for us, and Победа will play in other countries also, in Germany.
Yes,
and
Leipzig, 3 times a week.
Yes. In Germany, Groundhopping is much more developed. Do you have the same situation?
It is complicated. It is all about psychology. To answer the first question, of course, in Germany there is a historical organization, VDGD. I think they are named VDGD. In German, Vereinigung der Groundhopper Deutschlands. Union of the Groundhoppers of Germany. Wow, they are taking themselves really serious, right? It was founded, I cannot name you the right year, but I guess sometimes in the 90s. And this is mainly a bunch of elderly people who, now elderly people, so around 40 plus 50, who brought this hobby to Germany. You know, you read all these books, I'm sure. Originally it comes from England, and like what the Germans did is kind of a copy what the Englishmen started. And like the Germans, you know from history, they are always extreme. When they start something, they think about being global. So the Englishmen only went to England first, and the Germans, well, of course, they also started in Germany, but then they found, wow, probably our football is not the most interesting one. We go to Italy. Italy in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s was very interesting. I have a close friend. He is from the same town as me, and I think he has seen more than 200 matches in Italy, and I mean, he has been to high-quality matches. When, like, the derbies of Genoa and Torino and southern Italy, when there was really something going on, like fights in the streets, choreographies and everything. Also, when you go nowadays, you can see something, but when you are honest to yourself and you see the videos from the 80s or the 90s, it was another world. It was completely different. I have to say, it's the same in Serbia. I'm going often to Serbia, but it's not that over the top anymore. Getting back to your question, like, yeah, the people are organized, the people know each other, also the ones who are not organized. I don't know a current number, but I would predict, let's say 500 people, something like this, in Germany are doing this hobby. The ones are doing it more extreme, some are not so extreme. I know one guy, he's like 50 plus, and he is basically working and groundhopping. He has no time for private life. I give you an example. That guy, of course, when you travel a lot, you must save money to have the money for the travels. He is living in a flat in West Germany, in a city which I do not need to mention, because then it's clear about whom I'm talking. But this guy, they were renovating the flats and they were installing balconies. Of course, the landlord was asking for some extra money for this. This guy said, I don't need the balcony because I want to save that money for my travels. So now in that city where he lived, there is a really nice big house with a lot of balconies, but there is one window, there is no balcony. And that's the flat of that guy. You see, when you are doing this hobby to the most extreme, it affects also your daily lifestyle, of course, but he is only living for the football. He is working to get the money for the football, and he is not the only one who is defining himself, and they are defining themselves also with, I have been to that place, I have been to that place. And it's kind of, that is what I said in the beginning, it's psychological. That people don't like others to achieve the goals that they maybe already have. So if someone has been to Vladivostok, of those guys, he don't want any one of his friends to go to Vladivostok, because then it would not be exceptional, then it would be just regular. So for me, groundhoppers in general are a strange kind of people, especially in Germany, because everything is in this competition. Like the mind is competition, raising the numbers, visiting more strange places, seeing more matches in little time. For me, this is the wrong philosophy behind this. Like, I don't have to repeat, but it's about community, and it's also applying to me. So I don't want to present myself better than I am. Like, when we go to high-class matches with some close friends and we see other groundhoppers, guess what we usually do? We do this. We don't want to talk to them, which is kind of, it's on one side it is stupid, because maybe you can learn something from them or they can give you good input, but my cool guys, they don't consider them to be cool guys. So, this is другая команда. Это типа противник, yes? So, it's too much competition in it. And it's always important who are the people who you learn from. When you meet the right people at the start and you learn their philosophy about that community thing and making good experiences with other people, then I think it's good. But if you meet someone, maybe you are 20, you are just starting this hobby, and you meet someone who tells you it's about more, and everyday football, wow, probably after some years, you will have a fucked up mind when you are too deep into the subculture. It's always good to have a reference outside of this subculture.
Романтика.
Your opinion in general of all Russian people are different from this. What do you think about Russian people?
Of course, every nationality has their own specifica. Russians, in comparison to Serbs, which I am most often at the moment and for many years, Russians are more organized. I mean, Russian fan movement, when we talk about this ultra thing and all, it's younger than Serbian. So yeah, they do big choreographies, well scripted, and it's all really nice. And the hooligan thing is really big here, but it's more separated. Yes, if you decide to become like one guy who wants to fight in the woods or outside of the stadiums, you decide for the hooligan way. I think only few people are ultras at the same time. In Serbia, it's more mixed. Like everything is merged together, and like people in general, I think it's when you come as a tourist to Russia, you maybe come for the first time, you will see many people like on the street walking by,
very rude, yeah.
Very rude and not smiling and not communicating much. It takes some time to wake them up, kind of. But because I come here many times, I know some people and they know my craziness and my mentality, and for me they are very open, and like they invited me so many times, and once they are your friends, they don't care about the money at all, and they would like literally die for you to help you, which is, I really like it, because I was born in East Germany. I told you before, for us means our people from the East, good personal connections are much more important than the money. I mean, I don't want to tell tales too much. Of course, money is also important for us, but we like to be in good relationships with other people. So this is what counts the most, and building a good network of good people. For me, this is what I enjoy most when I come here.
Романтика.
Have you had any problems?
As a groundhopper?
No, groundhopper with groundhopping. When you go for some matches, maybe in Russia, maybe in Europe, maybe in
well, yes.
another world.
Let's name three.
Okay.
Let's name three occasions. About the year 2003, I was in Romania with some friends. We were walking around the former Ceausescu palace, and one guy was pointing his gun right in my face. And my friend was Romanian, and he said, go on, that guy is just drunk. He don't understand what you say. Go on, go slowly, but go. Okay, you have a gun. You are looking to the barrel of a gun. That's something, because you don't know. Maybe something is coming out soon. That was the first one. Nothing happened. Second one, we were in Argentina with some friends from Zwickau and from Dresden in 2013. And we were trying to see a match in the lower division. I think it was 5th division. The team was called Club Español. And the stadium is located in a very poor neighborhood, kind of favela. People warned us, don't go there. It's not safe for Western looking idiots like you are. But of course, we want to go there. We will go there. So we did. We took the suburban train, and some kids much younger than us, they followed us. And when we crossed the road, they attack us. We were about, I think we were 5 or 6 people, and they were only about 8. So not so many more than us, but much younger than us. And they attacked one of our guys. He had a small rucksack, small one. And they grabbed this, and some of our guys were so surprised that they ran away. And I tried to defend my friend, and I was screaming, and I was like, I was really freaking out. And I was thinking, you gonna kill someone now. But then some of the youngsters turned around, looked at me, and was pointing at not his kuratz, but his belt. And that means, do you want me to take it out? It could be a pistol or a knife. And of course, this is the moment when you say, take the fucking money and run. Like, you don't want to lose your life just because of football. So we let him go, and I was really angry. I snapped completely. So I took a stone from the street and I said, the next Argentinian asshole who come here, I will kill. I will smash his head. Adrenaline, it can be a very strong thing. And police came. And they said, who is this crazy guy? Pointing at me and said, why is he holding a stone? He must throw away the stone. So I did, but like some people from the houses, they were watching. This was second thing. We have one left. You asked me about Russia. Well, I know, maybe you don't consider this as Russia, but I was a couple of times in Chechnya. And when I was there the first time, 2010, 9 years ago, there was the match Terek against Alanya, Kafkaski derby. I was coming with a big rucksack. You know, everybody of the watcher, everybody know recent history of Chechnya and Russia. So there were soldiers all over the city. And I needed to show my passport about 7 times a day. And when I come near to the stadium with my big rucksack, Dobro došao, Alexander Kalashnikov 47 говорил. They were pointing the machine gun at me, and they bring me in the stadium in some room. They say, wait here. And about 15 minutes later, some FSB guy come to me. Hallo Markus, wie geht es dir? He spoke German with me, without accent. He was speaking absolutely perfect German in Chechnya. And he said, my friend, what are you doing here with that rucksack? Do you have a bomb? I said, no. Guess what? I'm a football idiot. I came here to see football. I want to see Terek Alanya. And they asked me, do you know any person here? I said, no, I don't know anyone. In Kafkas, do you know anyone? And again, Yuri, before that trip, he arranged some contact with fans of Alanya Vladikavkaz, Batras, who is a good friend of mine, and Tima, who were at that time the leaders of Alanski Barse, that fan group of Alanya Vladikavkaz. And FSB called them. We have a German idiot sitting here. He said he knows you. And they confirmed, yes, he's our friend. They said, okay, he will go with you to watch the match. It was in old stadium, and you can watch the game, but after the game you need to leave Chechnya. So I went with them in the bus to Kafkas, Vladikavkaz. Yeah, this was like 3 occasions where you feel the heartbeat a bit.
Романтика.
What do you want to wish our viewers and groundhoppers in Russia?
First of all, I wish you health, because this is the most important. All life is built
around health. So if you want to go to a place like this and it's cold, you must be healthy. Good friends, most important in life. People that you would like to help, people that you can rely on that will help you. Of course, I wish you a lot of fun with your teams, traveling. No problems with police and politics and all of that shit, because nobody really needs this. Life is about getting to know people and making friendships and having a good time, even if it's only Sapsan Arena, which is probably not the best, but I enjoy a lot meeting this young bloke. We make a good team here in this cold environment. So, and I hope you also have a lot of good people around you that make life a positive thing for you. Because life is short, enjoy life.
Thank you, Markus.
I'm a preacher, right?
Thank you, Markus. Thank you a lot.
Thanks you.
And let's see second time of this great game. Yeah.
FNL, great quality.
Романтика.